There's a moment in life that no one prepares you for. The moment when silence becomes the only response you can afford. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you finally understood that your peace is worth more than your pride. You stop defending yourself. You stop chasing explanations. You stop bleeding for people who never learned how to hold you without cutting you open. That's when something deep and ancient stirs within you. Something that doesn't scream or cry, but watches, endures, stands still like a mountain while the storm rages on. That is emotional strength, and the Stoics knew it well. You see, most people think emotional strength means being unaffected. They confuse numbness with resilience. They think being strong means pretending not to feel. But the truth is, emotional strength is not about suppression. It's about direction. It's about guiding the chaos inside you towards something solid, something higher. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, didn't hide his struggles. His private journals are filled with confessions of pain, frustration, and doubt. But he returned again and again to one simple truth. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And in that space between what hits you and how you answer it, that's where your power lives. Think about your last heartbreak. The betrayal that pulled the floor out from under you. The friendship that went cold. The person who ghosted you, lied to you, left you questioning your worth. You didn't choose that moment, but you did choose what came after. Whether you spiraled into bitterness or rebuilt in silence, whether you chased answers or made peace with the unknown, whether you let it define you or refine you. That's the Stoic way. Not to detach from life, but to face it without flinching. The Stoics weren't trying to escape emotion, they were trying to understand it. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He wasn't denying pain. He was pointing to the way we multiply it. How we replay conversations in our minds, how we rehearse anger, how we fantasize revenge. And in doing so, we hand over our inner world to the people who've already hurt us. But what if you didn't? What if you could feel everything, without being owned by any of it? That's emotional strength. Not closing your heart, but keeping your dignity even when your heart is breaking. Not becoming invincible, but choosing not to collapse when the weight hits you. Stoicism teaches us to accept the moment as it is, to stop resisting reality. Not because it's easy, but because that resistance is where suffering grows. You will be disappointed. You will be rejected. You will be misunderstood and sometimes deliberately disrespected. Life doesn't owe you fairness. People don't owe you closure. You won't always get the apology you deserve or the love you gave returned. But the Stoic doesn't crumble under that. He transforms it. He turns the wound into wisdom, the silence into strength, the loss into fuel. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You don't need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Your peace does not require their permission. Let that sink in, because once you internalize that, once you stop needing validation from outside of you, you become unshakable. That is the Stoic secret. Not in the absence of emotion, but in the mastery of it. In a world that celebrates reaction, emotional strength is revolutionary. Everyone wants to be seen, to be right, to be heard. But very few know the power of restraint, the dignity of stillness, the rare kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. The strongest man in the room is rarely the loudest. He's the one who knows what he could say, but chooses not to. Who knows what he could destroy, but chooses to walk away. That's not weakness, that's command, and it's built, not born. You build it in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when you forgive without receiving an apology, when you sit with your grief without trying to drown it, when you let go, not because it doesn't matter, but because you do. You build it every time you choose not to let pain turn you bitter. every time you feel the sting and still move with grace. You build it when you stop chasing people who left you confused and start walking toward the parts of yourself you abandoned for them. Emotional strength is not armor. It's not the absence of scars. It's knowing that those scars are part of your story, but not the end of it. It's learning to breathe through the ache, to watch your own thoughts without being ruled by them, to recognize that you can't always stop the wave, but you can learn how to surf. The Stoics practiced this every day, through journaling, through discipline, through solitude. They trained their minds like warriors train their bodies, not to eliminate pain, but to sharpen their response to it. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to prove your worth to people who couldn't see it. And you don't have to carry everything that once tried to break you. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to choose peace over pride. And you're allowed to grow in silence. Because the truth is, most growth happens in silence. Most healing is invisible. Most strength is built when no one is clapping. The Stoics knew this. They didn't chase the crowd. They didn't seek applause. They lived according to inner truth, not outer noise. And you can too. Not by becoming someone else, but by returning to who you were before the world told you who to be. So the next time someone tries to shake your peace, remember this. You're not obligated to respond. You're not required to explain. You're not here to fight battles that drain your spirit. Let them talk. Let them judge. Let them walk away if they must. You remain calm, grounded, unmoved. That is the Stoic secret to emotional strength. So, if you feel like you've been at war with your own emotions, if you've been drowning in noise, in pressure, in the constant tug of other people's expectations, just remember this. You're allowed to be still. You're allowed to take a breath and not explain yourself to the world. You're allowed to hold your peace like a sword, not to hurt anyone, but to guard your soul. Because strength, real strength, isn't about pretending you're unshaken. It's about learning how to stand inside the storm and not let it move your center. It's about feeling pain without letting it steal your clarity. It's about being fully human, but not ruled by what is temporary. That's the Stoic way, and maybe, just maybe, it's also your way now. Let this be your reminder that you don't need to chase control. You just need to master yourself. If this spoke to something in you, if it reminded you of something you've forgotten or something you're just now learning, leave a comment, share your experience. Let someone else know they're not the only one walking through it. And if you want more of this, more quiet strength, more emotional clarity, more of this kind of inner rebuilding, subscribe, like the video, turn on notifications. This isn't just content. It's a conversation with the part of you that's trying to grow in silence. And you're not alone in that anymore. Until next time, hold your peace like it's sacred, because it is.